And Moshe said, Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh your Elohim, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way. When you lie down and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Actually, it's Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach. We're here on the first day of unleavened bread, and it's a blessing to see everybody here today. We got folks from out of town, and it's just a great day, y'all, man. Now, I think this actually will be a good message for the first day of unleavened bread, because I think it will help us to keep ourselves focused on some things that are important. Today, I am going to be preaching to the choir, so to speak, right? But you never know who might overhear it when you preach to the choir. You know, you might be surprised at the folks on our outreach ministry programs that share stuff with other people. Another funny thing about preaching to the choir is this. If the choir is only showing up to sing, they are likely there for the wrong reason, amen? That's right. So how many times, while going through the Torah reading, do we discover something that we'd never seen before, or remember something that we had forgotten? Amen? All right. It happens every year, several times every year. And so hopefully we'll learn something new today. And I think, as I said before, that as we begin the Festival of Unleavened Bread today, this will help us stay focused on things that we need to be focused on, and help us in the way that we should walk. Today, we are going to talk about the tzitzit and why do we wear the tzitzit. So if you would, let's turn to Numbers chapter 15. Bimidbar 15. And you know what? Folks at home don't usually hear this, but if you would please set your cell phones to stun, because mine's not set to stun yet. There we go. And remember, you have to be a certain age to understand that, don't you? All right, Numbers 15. We're going to start reading in verse 37. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, and you shall say to them, Make tzitziot on the corner of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. And it shall be to you for a tzitzit, and you shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went whoring, so that you remember, and shall do all my commands, and be set apart unto your Elohim. I am Yahweh, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. So, we see here in verse 38 that Yahweh told Moses to tell the children of Yisrael to make tzitziot on the corner of their garments throughout their generations. Yeah, throughout your generations. And that they were to put the tzitzit upon the corners and a blue thread through it. But why? We always want to know why, don't we? Well, in verse 39 we see why. Yahweh doesn't always tell us why, but here we do. It says in verse 39, And it shall be for you a tzitzit, and you shall, what are those next two words? See it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went whoring, so that you remember and shall do all my commands, and be set apart unto your Elohim. All right. Now, here's some important words to remember as we look through these verses. Shall see it. All right? Remember. All. Here's a really important one. Of Yahweh. All right, of Yahweh. Do them. Do not search your own heart, own eyes. You went whoring. Be set apart to your Elohim. And 2 times in these 2 verses, it says, remember all the commands of Yahweh, or my commands. All right? But why do we need a reminder? Well, he just told you, so that you do not search after your own heart and your own eyes after which you went whoring. Now, this is Yahweh speaking, not me. Amen? All right, this is Yahweh speaking, all right? Now, so let's see here, is this fringe or tassel mentioned anywhere else in the Scripture? And the answer is yes. All right? Deuteronomy chapter 22. Devarim 22. We're going to be on page 208 in the 98 ISR. One verse. Verse 12. Make tassels on the 4 corners of the garment which you cover yourself. All right? And another one is in Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8. We're going to be on page 638. I'm sorry, we're going to be on 639. Verse 23. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, in those days 10 men from all the languages of the nations shall take hold, yea, they shall take hold of the edge of the garment of a man, a Yehudit, saying, let us go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you. Now, this word that's translated edge here is not zizit. Okay? It's the word kanaf. And the Strong's definition says it's an edge or extremity, specifically of a bird or an army. A wing of a garment or bed of clothing, a flap. All right? A quarter, building, several things, right? And then Brown Driver's Briggs says a wing, extremity, edge, wing, border, corner, skirt. The thing is here, as you see, the tassel is what goes on the corner of the garment of a Yehudit that would make him be recognized as a Yehudit, you see. And that's why these people are taking a hold of the corner of his garment, saying, you are a Yehudit, and we know that Elohim is with you. All right? So, here's the next thing. So we see this is supposed to be throughout your generations to remember all that Yahweh's commanded. But there's a question that comes up a lot of times. Well, what about women? Are women supposed to wear these? Because there are some folks that say no, there's some folks that say yes. Well, if we look back at, you don't have to turn here, I don't think, no, to Numbers 15:38, it says, speak to the children of Yisrael, and you shall say to them to make tzitzit on the corner of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. Now, some translations, instead of saying children of Yisrael, will say people of Israel, or the Israelites, but not necessarily the sons of Yisrael. However, there are some translations that absolutely do render it straight up as sons of Yisrael, but not most. But why is that? Well, it's because the word there that's translated children is the Hebrew word bain. You'll hear people say ben, all right? And it's Strong's number 1121, and it has a pretty long list of definitions. You know, it's a pretty long list, of which son and children are only 2. And you can study this out for yourself, but one has to ask, were the 10 commandments only given to the sons of Israel? Or was it given to the children of Israel? Was Passover only for the men, or was it for, as it says, all Yisrael kills it? Okay? Were the prophets only for the sons, or were they also for the children of Yisrael? Well, yes, they were for the children, but here's a big one here. When YHWH said that he came for the lost sheep of the house of Yisrael, was it only for the rams, or was it also for the ewe lambs too? What do you think? It was for the ewe lambs too. Right? Are the men the only ones that need a reminder to keep all that Yahweh has commanded? What do you think? No. All right? I don't think so. The women need it just as much as the men. Amen? All right? The Torah applies to women just as much as it does to the men. And I would say that in this day and age, we all need a reminder as never before. I can find no real evidence in the Scripture that this is a man thing. All right? This is a Yahweh thing. All right? And I believe that the women are expected to wear them just as much as the men. All right? And if someone has any evidence to the contrary, I'd love to see it. But thus far, it has not been forthcoming. All right? So, look with me in Matthew chapter 9. Matthew chapter 9. We're going to start reading in verse 20. Because we want to take a look and see about the zit being mentioned in the, quote, New Testament writings. There's a lot of people that think if they can't find it on the right-hand side of the book that it doesn't apply. We don't think that here. Matthew 9, verse 20. And see, a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years came from behind and touched the zit of his, that's YHWH's, garment. For she said to herself, if I only touch his garment, I shall be healed. But YHWH turned, and when he saw her, he said, take courage, daughter, your belief has healed you. And the woman was healed from that hour. All right? Now, look in Luke 8. This is another account of the story. In Luke chapter 8. We're going to start reading in verse 43. And a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who having spent all her livelihood on physicians, was unable to be healed by any, came from behind and touched the zit of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And YHWH said, who touched me? And when all denied it, Kepha and those with him said, Master, the crowds throng you and press upon you, and you say, who touched me? But YHWH said, somebody did touch me, for I knew power went out from me. And the woman, seeing that she was not hidden, came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared to him in the presence of all the people why she had touched him and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, take courage, daughter, your belief has healed you. Go in peace. All right? Your belief has healed you. Her belief in what? Well, did she not touch that thing which was YHWH's own reminder, his own personal reminder of Yahweh's standard of righteousness? His to keep his commands. Yeah, she wanted to touch YHWH's reminder. His life in obedience to Yahweh's laws demonstrated his own righteousness. And you have to ask, well, did YHWH need to wear zit to remember to keep all Yahweh's commands? Most likely not, all right? And that's why he put them on, because that's one of his commands, all right? Yeah, so, all right, Matthew 14. But Yahshua did a lot of things to be a perfect example for us. Amen? That's, yeah. All right, Matthew 14, verse 34. And having passed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret, and when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all the surrounding country and brought to him all who were sick and begged him to let them touch the tzitzit of his garment, and as many as touched it were completely healed. All right, there it is again. But now some people might say, foul. My translation says the hem or the border of his garment. All right? Mine doesn't say tzitzit. Well, that's because the word translated hem or border is Strong's numbers G2899, kraspedon, and it means a fringe or tassel. All right? And it is translated into the KJV as hem or border. All right? So we see that Yahshua wore them as his heavenly Father commanded, and we're to walk as he walked. Right? All right? But he was Jewish. He had to wear them. All right? That's a trick question. That's a trick question. He did have to wear them, but it wasn't because he was Jewish. It was because he was a follower of Yahweh. All right? And Yahweh has actually told us there is one law. All right? We see that in the, quote, Old Testament writings. We see that in the writings of Paul. All right? Exodus 12:49 says, there is one Torah for the native born and for the stranger who sojourns among you. Well, you might say, well, that's talking about the Passover. All right? Well, let's turn back to Numbers 15. Remember, that's the chapter that we read where the instruction was given for the tzitzit, the tassel. Numbers 15. And we're going to look at some of these verses that lead up to what's the reason for the instruction in the first place, okay? Okay, so this is in the preceding verses, Numbers 15:29. For him who does whatever by mistake, there is what? One Torah. Torah means what? Instruction. There is one Torah both for him who is, native among the children of Israel and for the stranger who sojourns in their midst. But the being who does whatever defiantly, whether he's a native or a stranger, he reviles Yahweh, and that being shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of Yahweh and has broken his command. That being shall certainly be cut off. His crookedness is upon him. All right, now let's keep reading on to see what has led up to this command. Verse 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moshe and to Aharon and to all the congregation, and they put him under guard, because it had not been declared what was to be done, should be done to him. And Yahweh said to Moshe, the man shall certainly be put to death. All the congregation stoning him with stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him with stones as Yahweh commanded Moshe, and he died. All right? And that's what happened right before Yahweh gives this command. Because it's not Yahweh's desire that any should die. Amen? So he's giving you he's giving you a reminder. Now, the command to wear the tzitzit is sort of like a catch-22. All right? The fact that a person decides to take it off is evidence that he needs to put it on. Right? That's right. All right. You see, because at the point where he took it off, he just stopped remembering to keep all that Yahweh has commanded. Catch-22. Now, it also demonstrates that he needs a reminder. Amen? It demonstrates that he needs a reminder. All right. So what kind of reminder does he need? Well, I don't know. What could it be? What kind of reminder? I don't know. Maybe he could wear a tzitzit. It's already Yahweh approved. Amen? It's already Yahweh approved and it's perfect. All right, now, I'm going to share this one with you. This one has distressed me over the years. I heard a minister once. It wasn't a Christian minister. It was a minister who, their website says they're Torah keepers. And I heard him say, as he preached against this subject, he said, listen, if you don't know exactly how to make one of those things, you haven't got any business telling anybody that they ought to be wearing them. Yeah, and you can go to their Facebook page now and look at people at the feast and stuff. There's not a tzitzit in the place of these Torah keepers. Of these Torah keepers. Right now, I find this argument to be lacking sound reason. You see, this gentleman advocates keeping the Sabbath. But I can just about guarantee you that though he may have his own ideas about how Sabbath needs to be kept, he's probably going to have a little trouble really telling somebody exactly how Sabbath is supposed to be kept. You know, because see, he may crank his car up and drive it to Sabbath services and somebody else say, whoa, you're kindling fires. Okay? He might disagree with that, but he can't tell people exactly how to keep Sabbath. Can anyone hear? You know, but he does advocate Sabbath keeping. All right? And so by his own line of logic, he's got no business telling anybody that they ought to be keeping Sabbath. Amen? Thank you, Seth. Yahshua said, whoever breaks and teaches to break will be called what? Least in the reign of the heavens. All right? Whoever teaches to break even the least of the commands in the Torah. All right? Folks, this is breaking and teaching to break. All right? It's breaking and teaching to break. And if you point that out to them and they get offended, what did we talk about the other day? Yeah, if your righteousness does not exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees. Right? So that's the important thing that I think that Torah keepers should have. I will tell you this about the tzitzit. Yahweh gave us all of the detail that He cared about in the design of the tzitzit. Okay? He said, first of all, make them. All right? And He said to put a blue thread through them. And He said to put them on the corner of the garments with which you cover yourself. And He said that you're to look upon them. And that you're to remember all that Yahweh has commanded. And not be led astray after your own heart and your own desires. And that's what Yahweh seems to be most concerned about as far as I can tell. All right? And listen, if you don't think Yahweh can give a lot of details when He wants to, you go read through about how the tabernacle is constructed and the articles that are therein. Okay? I think Yahweh gave us all He doesn't want us getting bogged down and you know, how many knots and how many strings and whether it's this or that. You know, I like to tie mine with 10 wraps, 5 wraps, 6 wraps, 5 wraps, just because it corresponds to the Hebrew letters for the name Yahweh. All right, but you know what? There's no command to do that. You put a blue thread through it and look upon. That's what the command is. All right, and you know what? I believe that Yahweh is looking for a people who are willing to do our dead level best in the absence of a perfect situation to see if we have a heart to serve and obey Him. All right? And I'll tell you this too. You can make your tzitzit and maybe get something not exactly right, or you can not wear them at all and get it all wrong for certain. That's easy. Whoever keeps and teaches to keep, he will be called great in the reign of the heavens. Okay, but does wearing the tzitzit, and there's a lot of other things we could talk about regarding this, because they're supposed to be seen. They are supposed to be worn where you can see them. And I personally think that I'm not just supposed to be walking around looking at mine everywhere I go, because I'll be running into stuff, and I think it also means for us to be able to see them collectively as Yisrael as we look around, and that helps us be accountable. Some people have said, well, should we only wear them on Sabbath? Well, no, because guess what? Y'all act the best when you're here. It's out there where we need it even more. I mean, we need that. What about wearing them under our garments? Well, we're not supposed to put our light under a basket anyway. But Yahshua didn't wear his under his garment. Otherwise, how could these people come up and touch the border of his garment? And I can promise you that lady wasn't reaching up underneath there trying to find, or anybody else for that matter. That's not what's going on. And I know people that say, well, I just don't want to make it look like I'm, showing off or trying to draw attention to myself, like that. And I've kind of got this opinion. It's to be drawing attention to Yahweh. But listen, if you're worried about that, you can't go walking into a worship house with your scripture in your hand, because somebody might see you and it bring attention to yourself. All right? I mean, it just goes on and on. All right, but what about this? Does wearing the tzitzit make us righteous just because we wear it? Nope. Well, I would like for us to turn to Romans chapter 2. And for we tassel wearers, I'd like for you to, just for this exercise, put in place where it talks about circumcision, I'd like for you to put tassel wearing or tzitzit wearing. Or, just put that in there while we're looking at this and see what you think. Remember, we're supposed to have a circumcised heart, amen? And the tassel's supposed to help us maintain that. That's what its job is. All right, Romans 2, we're going to start reading in verse 17. See, you are called a Yehudit. Your translation may say Jew. You are called a Yehudit, and rest on the Torah, and make your boast in Elohim. I know the desire of Elohim and know the desire of Elohim and approve what is superior, being instructed out of the Torah. And trusting that you yourselves are a guide to the blind, a light to those in darkness. All right, can we relate to that? I think so. I think we can relate to that, where we try to share things with people and be a light to those in darkness, and that we rest on the Torah and approve what is superior, being instructed in the Torah. I think we can all relate to that. Let's keep reading in 20. An instructor of foolish ones, a teacher of babes. You know, over and over in the Scripture when it talks about fools, it's talking about people who are unrighteous. Okay? So when it's talking about an instructor of foolish ones, it's people that you're trying to help. What's righteousness? To do Yahweh's commands. Unrighteousness would be not doing Yahweh's commands. When someone comes up and asks you that's not doing the commands, we instruct them in righteousness, right? Trying to take the foolish and give them wisdom. Not being better than, just trying to help them along. Verse 20, a teacher of babes, having the form of knowledge and the truth in the Torah. We can relate to that. You then who teach another, do you not teach yourself? You who proclaim that a man should not steal, do you steal? You who say, do not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? You who abominate idols, do you rob temples? You who make your boast in the Torah through the transgression of the Torah, do you disrespect Elohim? The name of Elohim is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you, as it has been written, for circumcision. We'll put tassel wearing in there just for this exercise. Indeed, prophets, if you practice the Torah. You see that? Your tassel wearing is profitable if you keep Torah. All right? But if you are a transgressor of the Torah, your tassel wearing has become non-tassel wearing. Your circumcision is uncircumcision. All right? Not adding to or taking away. I'm just saying let's just use this, just for an exercise for a minute here. So, if an uncircumcised one, if one that doesn't wear tassels, watches over the righteousness of the Torah, shall not his uncircumcision or his non-tassel wearing be reckoned as circumcision or reckoned as tassel wearing? And the uncircumcised by nature, who perfects the Torah, shall judge you, who notwithstanding letter and circumcision or tassel wearing, are a transgressor of the Torah. For he is not a Yehudit who is so outwardly, neither is circumcision that which is outward in the flesh, but a Yehudit is he who is so inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart in spirit, not literally, whose praise is not from men but from Elohim. Does that not give us something to think about as a tassel wearer? Sure. I see. Ezekiel's down with that. It's strikingly similar when you put it that way to the circumcision aspect, Strikingly similar. All right, so one more time, here is the command. Numbers 15, let's look at it together. May Yahweh be praised. Numbers 15:37. And who spoke? And Yahweh spoke to Moshe. Everything that comes after that's what? Very important. All right. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, and you shall say to them to make zitziot on the corner of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the zitzit of the corners. And it shall be to you for a zitzit, and you shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahweh, and shall do them, and not search after your own heart, after your own eyes, after which you went whoring, so that you remember and shall do all my commands, and be set apart unto Yahweh your Elohim. I forgot to tell you what the name of this message is. The name of this message is A String of Mockeries. All right? A String of Mockeries. All right? If we do not put the zitzit on and use it as Yahweh instructed it, and by the way, I think this is a good message for the first day of unleavened bread to help us. Because what did Yahweh do? Why the Passover? The Passover was so that the children of Israel would be let go out of Mitzrayim. For what purpose? So that Yahweh could bring them to Mount Sinai. That's the reason that we're coming out of Mitzrayim, to go to Sinai and to receive the covenant from Yahweh. Right? All right? If we do not put the zitzit on to use it as Yahweh instructed, are we not only using it as an outward demonstration, just like a Pharisee that Yahshua condemned? What do you think? All right. If we only wear it to be complicit because the Torah says we have to wear it, all right, yet we fail to keep the rest of the Torah regarding it, to look upon it so that we remember to keep all that Yahweh has commanded us, so that we do indeed not search after our own hearts and our own eyes and play the whore, but rather use it for what it's intended to. We're doing it for the wrong reason. And so let's do this for the right reason, to bring us into Yahweh's righteousness. All right? Because Yahweh said so, and I want to be like Yahshua. That's one of our mottos around here, Amen? Because Yahweh said so, and I want to be like Yahshua. If we do it for the wrong reason or don't use it properly, we turn a thing for the flock to see into a string of mockeries. Yevrokeka Yahweh Ba'ish Bareka Ya'er Yahweh Panavaleka Bikoneka Yasa Yahweh Panavaleka Biasim Lakash Shalom. Yahweh bless you and guard you. Yahweh make his face to shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you his complete contentment.